Hello people, welcome to the show, and today's show is about the Sega Master System. And basically the system started its life in obviously Sega's a Japanese company. This is the Sega Master System is the third generation console. The third generation. It was known as the Mark III when it came out in Japan in 1985. Released in North America in '86, then it was re-released as was originally the Sega Mark III, and I believe the SG-1000. Maybe I got that wrong, but then it came out in '89 in Brazil, '89 in Korea, and then it came out in worldwide in 1985. It came out in Europe in 1987. Obviously, the SG-1000 was just before this. Then they had the Mark III. Then the Mark III. The Sega Master System is basically the Sega Mark III on steroids, basically, if you want to be specific. So units sold worldwide. This system sold 13 million units worldwide as of 2009, because they still make the Sega Master System in Brazil, believe it or not, which is pretty crazy. But sales in Japan were 1 million. Sales in the United States were 2 million. In Europe, there was 6.8 million sold. 8 million in Brazil as of 2016. I mean, this was a pretty successful console. I first got this console, I think it was 1990. I got it as a present. My parents bought it off my brother as a Christmas present, so he could then put it towards a Mega Drive. So I can't quite remember. But my Master System came with the gun, came with the hunting game in it. Also, and I also had Super Hang-On built into it as well, I believe. It was a great system. I mean, I loved it. I loved the system for what it was. You know, for what this system was, it was absolutely brilliant for what this system was. And we just have to remember how good this system was. I mean, you know, thing I liked about, oh no. Oh dear. Yeah, there we are. There's a problem. So the thing I had, the first obviously Master System was a great one. You had your little green light. Obviously, I'm going to move the mouse now. So where the mouse is, you've got that little light, and then you've got the reset button. You've got a pause button. You've got everything on it. The only downside to this console was obviously having a pause button on the console rather than the controller, which is a bit of a problem. The controller. One was for start, two was the action button. It was pretty decent. The quality of the pad wasn't too bad, but you know, only two buttons for a third generation pad. It's not too bad. I mean, obviously this was Sega's first proper world hit. You know, games I had on when I was given the system, I had Moonwalker as well. I had Rocky, I had a motocross game, I had pro wrestling, I had Psycho Fox, which was one of the best games you could ever have. I mean, I enjoyed it. And then what else? I had Rampage as well. Rampage was a great game. I thought Rampage was one of the better games. Port of Rampage, which is originally arcade hit. There was also a Sega thing originally. And then Golden Axe. I had other good games on it. Were Outrun, which wasn't too bad. They also had a 3D version. The thing about Masters and accessories you had on this thing for the time were pretty good. You had a steering wheel, which was pretty decent, but I never ever had it. My friend had it, but I played it. Anyway, I shall be back in a second, people. I just have a minor interruption. I shall be back in 1 second. Hello, people. Anyway, I'm back. People. So other things we have about the Master System, like I say, we had the steering wheel, which was good for it. You had the 3D glasses, which actually didn't look too bad. I borrowed the 3D glasses one time, and they didn't work too badly. They seemed all right. He also had a sports pad, which had a sort of ball instead of the D-pad. I also had I believe the arcade stick as well. The arcade stick was fairly decent. I've had that for about 10 years. But the only thing is it's kind of the wrong way around because the way it's wired. The button scheme isn't that good. And also you had other third party controllers, but the arcade stick wasn't the best. Other good games in it I had, which I'd recommend, is Shinobi. Shinobi is a very cheap game. Shinobi is one of the better games. But yeah, so anyway, this system had Shinobi. There was Shadow Dancer, which wasn't a bad game. You had Cyber Shinobi. The list goes on. This system, it defined, obviously it was big in Europe. It wasn't big in America. Obviously in America was a Nintendo country, really. The NES smashed this thing out the water. This could never compete with the NES, even though the graphics were better than the NES. The graphics were better. The color scheme was better. But the NES had more games. You had Mario. Obviously, they didn't release Sonic till the end of this thing's life. And then, obviously, the fact that they're still making this in Brazil, or they were, I believe, a year ago, still making it. But the game library is huge. Games are very cheap. It's a very good collector's item. You see Master Systems for like 20 quid on eBay. Now we'll move on to the Sega Master System 2, which didn't have a card, an input, so you could play card games. There was no light on it, so you could see the LED light to see the console was on. The power button wasn't like a power button like you've got on this. It's just a flick of the switch. Also, you had something that covered the console, like a little door that said Master System 2 on it. It was very stripped back, very basic. And the original one is so much better. It looks better. It's better quality. The second one wasn't great quality, but you can pick a Master System 2 up for probably, like I say, £10 or £15. Thank you for watching the show today, people. Anyway, goodbye, people.